Good evening.
Good evening.
We have an invocation led by Councilman.
Let us pray. Father God, we give you thanks for this day and the blessings that you've bestowed upon us. As we come tonight and gather together to transact business on behalf of the city, give us wisdom and knowledge and guidance and direction that the actions that we take may be pleasing not only for you, but for beneficial for the citizens of Darlington. For we pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Councilman. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, on minutes, we will be approving May 7th, 9th, and 16th. We don't have the 28th ready yet. So can I get a motion to approve the 7th?
I so moved.
And I second.
It's properly moved and second that we receive the May 7th meeting. All in favor? Let it know and sign aye.
Aye.
Nays have the same rights. Okay, now May 9th.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes of May 9th meeting. Second.
It's properly moved and second that we receive the May 9th meeting. All in favor? Let it know and sign aye. Aye. Nays have the same right. Motion carries. Okay, May 16th.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes for May 16th. Second.
It's been properly motion and second that we will receive the minutes of May 16th. All in favor, let it sign aye.
Aye.
Nays have the same rights. Motion carries. Okay, now the approval of the meeting agenda itself.
I make a motion that we approve the meeting agenda for June 4th, 2019.
I'll second.
It's been properly moved and second that we receive the meeting agenda for June 4th. All in favor, let it sign aye.
Aye.
Nays have the same right. Motion carries. Okay, now we have our outstanding committees. DDRA, Ms. Rock.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Please excuse my voice. I had dental surgery last week. So, thank you for giving us time to present to you. The DDRA's Bringing Downtown Alive concert series continues Thursday, June 27th from 7 to 10 p.m. with Radio by performing Darlington Cruiser Car Show, vendors, and more. Come and join the evening out with the community sponsored by Pepsi, Wilson Senior Care, and the Cumulus Broadcasting radio stations. We'll be tweaking a few things this month. We'll be moving the band to the street, which we had anticipated doing at the beginning of the season, but we had some delays with the electrician. It's supposed to happen next week. And we will be providing free Pepsi and water to those who are attending. We'll also have food and beer available for purchase, and we still have spots for vendors and sponsors who make these events possible. These events continue on the fourth Thursday of the month through September, except during race week when we'll be on a Friday night because the Car Hauler Parade is on that Thursday. Businesses, individuals, civic groups, and churches are invited to join the DDRA as members. They can give me a call or send me an email, and we will feature their news, employee recognitions, sales, new products, special hours, and other events with people interested in Darlington, as well as TV stations, radio stations, and newspapers through our text and email news alerts. Memberships are $150 for most businesses, $100 for civic groups, churches, and nonprofits, and $50 for individuals. You can download an application at buildupdarlington.org, where anybody can also sign up for the news alerts. And lastly, we will have our monthly members breakfast, 8 a.m. Wednesday, June 26th at Taki's Diner. It's free for members and $5 for others. It's a great time to share your news with other businesses and find new connections. Mr. Stevens has attended just about every one, and so he could vouch for how much information gets transferred and connections get made that are helpful. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. The chamber, Ms. Harriet Hobbs is absent, so we have Ms. Angela Witt tonight to present.
Harriet sends her apologies. She had an emergency, couldn't be here tonight, so she emailed me this, and I'm just going to read it to you. The Carolina Brotherhood is a group of first responders from South Carolina and North Carolina that are riding a 600-mile bike ride through South Carolina and North Carolina in memory of the fallen first responders and 2 K-9 officers that lost their life in 2017. They will be riding through our city on June the 27th at lunchtime. The City of Darlington and its first responders must welcome these courageous riders with sirens and flags. Curtis Boyd will generously volunteer to feed the bike riders in the Fitness World Gym located at 1032 Pearl Street. These riders will be coming through our city at approximately noon on the 27th and will be fed and have a rest at Fitness World Gym. The Darlington Raceway has invited them to take a lap around the Lady in Black and take pictures before heading back on their journey. Any volunteers that would like to help serve lunch to these men and women would be greatly appreciated. If you would like to volunteer, please call Harriet Hobbs at the Chamber of Commerce. Also, if you would like to donate water or Gatorade, please contact Harriet. Freedom Fest is June 29th and the gates will open at 5 p.m. As always, we will have live music, carnival rides, food and merchandise vendors, and children's rides. The cost of admission is free, however, this year parking will cost $1. The evening will close with a great fireworks show. If anybody would like additional information on Freedom Fest, please contact Harriet at the Chamber of Commerce. Thank you.
Any questions?
What were the hours for the Freedom Fest? Did they give them?
No. Gates open at 5 p.m. and then it ends with the fireworks, which will be at dark. So probably around 9.
Okay, thank you. No citizens wish to speak. Okay, unfinished business. The second reading of the ordinance 2019-09 for the Duke Energy quarterly franchise fee, as we stated last month. So we get paid quarterly rather than once a year. Can I get a motion on that?
I'll motion that we approve the second reading of ordinance 2019-09 Duke Energy quarterly franchise fee.
I'll second.
It's been properly motion. Any more discussion on things? It's properly motion and second. We received the order 2019-09 Duke Energy quarterly franchise fee. All in favor? Let it know by sign aye.
Aye.
Nays have the same right. Motion carried. Okay. Second reading of orders 2019-01 Exchange Street. Can I get a motion on that, please?
I make a motion that we approve the second reading ordinance 2019-10101 Exchange Street.
I'll second that.
It's been properly motion and second that we receive the second reading of orders 2019-10-101 Exchange Street. All in favor? Let it be known sign aye.
Aye.
Nays have the same right. Motion carries. New. New business, Mr. Will Isgett, Miss Darlington USA Pageant got a new twist this year, huh?
Rita Buck is going to help hand out what I
Okay.
printed out for you guys. She's actually on my committee.
Cheers, okay.
Wonderful business owner here in town. She and I will be heading to Charlotte tomorrow night for a reception for the new Miss USA, Chelsea Christ, who was just crowned a couple of weeks ago. And Chelsea will be competing in Miss Universe, I guess in a few months. So Reed and I are going up. We're invited to represent South Carolina in Darlington tomorrow night. The new venture that I've taken on, I've been out for about a year. I had brain surgery back in May, end of November of last year. So I've kind of taken a year off from everything and kind of regrouped, I should say. I was with the Miss South Carolina Miss America organization for over 20 years as a volunteer. So now I've gone into something else, which is with the Miss USA Miss Universe organization. As many of you, as you know, Steve Harvey hosts the Miss Universe pageant every year on Fox. So we're hoping to be able to start it here as the local level, and the girl can advance all the way up to Miss Universe. It's a very big possibility. We're starting it in Darlington, and we're going to take it to Miss South Carolina USA, Miss USA if they win, Miss Teen USA, and then Miss Universe. So it's a big time thing here that we've never done before. But just to tell you, I've assembled a team called Team Elite, and they're business owners. If you want to look on the back of the sheet, Team Elite is comprised of Rita Buck, she's the owner of Merle Norman, Ginger Perry, who is the vice president of Dedicated Community Bank, Kendall Standish, who is the owner and operator of Kendall Standish Voice Studio, Lynn Covington, who is retired from the Darlington County School District and former local executive director of the Miss Hartsville pageant, Philip Manza, who is a communications director of Central United Methodist Church of Florence, David Cummins is a Darlington resident employee of AEP of Florence, Lisa Davin, who is a pageant mom and former Miss South Carolina Sweet Potato Festival's mother of Caitlin Walzer, Leon Holden, owner of Best Heating Service and Heating Cooling, and Darlington native and stay-at-home mom Shannon Davis Elliott. So what I've done is I've comprised a bunch of different people from Darlington, a couple from Florence, I got a couple from other places. But what we will do for you is hold the pageant on August 17th at Trinity Burns Collegiate School. We'll raise all the funds for the event, we'll promote the event, recruit all the contestants, which I've had a wonderful response. I probably had over 35 girls contact me already. Which means we'll be bringing people into Darlington that have never been here before, ones that are coming from out of town. They'll spend money in our restaurants and our businesses here, which is always important, I think. We'll obtain qualified judges, which I already have my judges panel all from North Carolina. They'll be coming here, doing the same thing, spending money and eating in our restaurants. We'll house the judges, we'll provide the judges meals, we'll conduct the interviews. Darlington Raceway has partnered with us. They're going to let us use the Raceway Museum to do the interviews for the contestants. And we'll provide a first-class production at Trinity Burns. We'll provide the new queens with the opportunity to appear at many events throughout the year in the City of Darlington and throughout the state of South Carolina, promoting our great city. That's always something I've always done in my 20 years. I always promoted Darlington. It's my hometown. Be solely responsible for preparing the winners for the Miss South Carolina USA and Miss South Carolina Teen USA pageants, which will be held in North Charleston on November 22nd and 23rd at the North Charleston Performing Arts Center. So like I said, it's really big, and what I want you guys to do, if possible, is we want Mayor Hines to come. She did it for me a year and a half ago at Miss Darlington. Come and be present and give the welcome and help crown the new queens. I want for all the city council and city administration to be present. I know Elaine was there when we did a year and a half ago, and present everybody with free admission, and city employees all get in for free. And I'm asking for the city, if they can, to provide $1,000 to help us support the pageant. So, like I said, this is something that I've done forever. I've been a role model, I think, for many young women. 35 young women I've mentored, and we've offered over $30,000 in scholarships, and we have one right now getting her master's degree at the University of South Carolina in vocal performance, Sarah Floyd. I've just had so many girls that have come through here, and we've done so many great things for them, and y'all have always supported me, and I hope I can get your support again. That's what I want to present to you. Okay, thank you. Okay, thanks.
Miss Allison Callaway, D Avenue, South Main Street Park. Miss Allison Callaway.
I'm the one that submitted it for her. She wasn't able to come. She asked us to submit it for her.
What the council think about that?
I have no objection to Miss Caraway's son and
brother.
Mr. Boyd here, I don't have any objection to hearing what they've got to say.
That's fine.
Thank you. This is the drawings for the,
Your Sergeant Caro's brother.
What's your name?
Daniel Blathers.
We had asked last week, last month, excuse me, thank you again for letting us come speak. We had asked last month to see if the city would be interested in supporting the Memorial Park on B Avenue for Mrs. Caraway and for Terrence. Anything will be supported. We sent in a letter asking for some funds. The park's probably going to cost between $200,000 and $300,000 to actually finish it up. The urban engineer's got that drawn out. I'm waiting on for the permit to come in from the state for the parking. Everything's has been verbally approved already. And I'm trying to think, the foundation has already been, she's already got paperwork for all the foundation for the Sergeant Terrence Caraway Foundation. She has all that also already been approved.
Do we have the 501c3 classification?
Yes, that's what I said, she's got everything approved. She can provide all that. Absolutely. City would be interested in supporting all of it.
I think the person last meeting was the 501c3
Yes, ma'am. It's all been
license, and
approved.
she has that?
Yes, ma'am.
I think that's what we're waiting for.
Right. She has all
to take a
that.
vote on that.
Yes.
So, when she present that, with that licensing, I think we can take a vote on it.
Okay.
Assisting with the park, the Memorial Park.
We don't know if you can go and vote inside, you know, so she can bring all that back with you.
As long as she's going to approve 501c3, then we could vote to approve it, and then,
We can take up information
We can
tonight.
take
and
it,
discuss
we
it.
can-
Yeah, we're not asking for the money tonight.
we don't
building it.
ask for the,
I mean, so,
yeah.
We'll take up the information tonight.
Lisa, I think you've previously advised us that it meets all the city planning stuff, doesn't it?
In terms of zoning, yes.
she just said everything's in compliance with zoning and.
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, is there a way you can go and vote on it pending on her
I mean, we can
providing?
get that before, I'm not something we can discuss it.
We never ask to see the 501c3 in person. We just take the face value they have one, then write the check to the 501c3.
I can remember several
We've asked
times,
for that before. Yeah.
I mean, we asked
I
for
can
it.
remember several times we've asked people to bring a 501, or they're gonna see it,
Right.
so.
So she can provide that before you vote, before you write a check.
So just now, we take the information,
We'll take up the information tonight, and Mr. Garland have to tell us what we have in the account, what we have everything to give us. So we take the information tonight, we'll go with
There be any problem about once the 501c3 certificate comes in to having Ms. Caraway just email it or bring it by Mr. Garland's office so that it'll be available to anybody who wants to review it.
I'll make a copy of
it.
it,
Okay,
give it to everybody.
okay.
That'll be fine. Well, we just receive it or copies of it once it's formally in place, it saves some time.
Okay.
So historically, I've never had a 501c3 certificate presented to me at a council meeting. We've had this on the agenda 2 times now. If it's all right, we can go ahead and vote on the subject matter if we want to give them the funds. And then she can present the 501c3 to you. If you approve it, then you can cut the check.
Well, whatever amount y'all approve, if y'all vote to approve it.
But historically, then we're fine with that. And I don't want to waste another meeting on an agenda item that we're already, I think, in agreement on. So if it's all right, I'd just like the motion that we approve the $5,000 donation to the memorial.
We have it, what one?
Well,
It's definitely,
what I can tell you is the money that we've drawn out recently was $5,000
for the Cotton Mill Memorial on Pearl Street. It was $10,000 for the Veterans Memorial and $15,000 for Freedom Fest, which y'all all voted to approve.
And we got the 300,000+ coming into hospitality fund, so we've had the funds in there to approve 5,000.
Now, I would say with our next budget, we're going back to the way we did things in 2017, where each council member had control of some funds. And if they wanted to give money, do something, they could. That money is $500 per councilman. So if they wanted to give to that per their allotment next year after July 1st, they could do that. So that's up to y'all.
Reed, you had something to say? Go ahead, put those in there.
I just simply think because we've had, and we have not discussed that, I don't think, since we have had a little bit of opposition. I'm not saying that I'd support the memorial, but to vote on it without all of the thing that was in question, let's see that and then vote on it. And it doesn't have to be that we wait to the next meeting. We have meetings all the time.
Mrs. Reed, you're the one that asked me to come.
Yeah, that's what I just acknowledge it, and I acknowledge it as I'm saying tonight. But I am one that likes things to be done. I have to pay attention to, as particularly those the ones that I represent, and we have not dealt with all of that. Not saying that in anything, I want all of the information, and since there's been some opposition, I want to see if this address it as what you said that you would, okay? And I haven't seen that yet, along with the 501c whatever. And I just feel like we need to do
The
that.
opposition was a basketball court. There's it's still a court basketball court with a fence on it.
Because we just,
So I think the two things that we asked, the basketball court, and that's going to be fenced in. The question was asked tonight if the specification meets all the city ordinance. According to Lisa, it does. And you've looked at these, and he's in compliance with all of our.
A public park, which is the majority primary use, and based on the fact that 75% of the property is just a public park, that is allowed in the general commercial zone.
So those two things have been met.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, then the last thing was that we asked about the 501c3 license, and she said that she was in process of getting that all approved. According to Mr. Bladders and Mr. Board, those things have been approved. I, along with Councilman Gardner, I have never seen an organization present us with a 501c3 license before we took a vote. So I said we can take a vote contingent on the license, and if the license is not there, then then everything's void.
Here's what
They're having to keep coming back and forth, and let's discuss this.
here's where I have a little problem.
Okay.
You keep saying now that it's a public park. It was a memorial. And of a memorial, that's all, that's the mindset.
She said public park.
Yes,
It's a memorial.
well, see,
But that's
and
kind of
see,
what it
and-
classifies.
It's
as.
memorial
and
slash
see,
one.
for this to happen, it seems like there's a lot of changes that has to be made, and that's why I am where I am. As you're saying, yeah, it meets all of the things in the park, but I'm under the thing that it is a memorial to Carol Way. And that was a little different because the community would not want the basketball court there. That was the opposition that I got.
But we don't
But the
have
city
any
can't
right
stop.
to tell somebody what they can do as long as they're in compliance.
And that's what I'm, okay. See,
And we've already been told that by Ms.
so we're gonna ignore the 200 people on that in that neighborhood who did not want the basketball court. It wasn't opposition to the memorial. So that's what I'm trying to.
And my issue with this is,
Yeah, and it's
these
not that we
citizens
buy
have to
the
live in this
memorial.
neighborhood. Those citizens have to live in this neighborhood and deal with the community or the noise of the basketball court or the traffic of it in their neighborhood. It's not in your backyard, it's in their backyard. So they got
What
to
is
deal
our
with this.
basis for ignoring an application that meets the terms of our ordinance?
We're not ignoring
All
application.
we're doing is we're deciding whether we're going to fund it to the tune of some dollar amount or whether we're not going to fund it to the tune of some dollar amount. They have the right, if they can solicit private funds, to utilize that property for that purpose. So we either fund, the city either funds it or the city doesn't fund it. We don't have any other issue that's before us.
I have an issue.
The issue came when they
Because
presented
if
the
those citizens
position.
object, that created an
That's
issue.
the issue. Not
Well,
that we
if
want
you
to
have
support
a
it.
legal basis for ignoring an application that's proper in its,
We're not saying we ignore
We're
the
not
application.
doing
We're
that.
saying-
well, then that's what I'm saying. We either vote to fund the money or we vote not to fund the money.
Okay.
But we don't stop the project.
How you stop the project?
Call the
You
question.
just having an opinion.
Call the question.
I make a motion. Go ahead.
Go ahead, say what you got to say. Go ahead.
Right now, we were just here to request a donation to whatever you're planning to do. The issue that you're addressing, that was addressed at the last meeting. And right now, the specifications in which was proposed to address their concerns have already been addressed. So right now, that's not a part of why we're here tonight, and it's already been addressed, it's approved. There's nothing that can change, nothing about that has to change. And the concern was not about the noise, the concern was potential violence.
Well, there's going to be potential
No,
violence. There's
ma'am.
going to be violence.
And I only say this,
No doubt about that.
as a citizen, and we all know, if kids have nothing to do, they will find something to do. So if you're saying that a basketball court is good for one side of town versus another, what are you saying is good for the other side of town? So with that being said, this is not a recreational park. It's a memorial park that just so happens to have a small court on it that's not even open, that's fenced in. So therefore, you can't just go in it at will. And it's to be used for multiple purposes. It just has an outline in it.
For that.
But right now, we're here, and tonight is about the request for funds, which can be voted on pending, I'll bring back a piece of paper.
Right. Daniel, just, and I must address all of you. I've had 3 calls because we just opened the basketball court at Southern Pine. 3 calls from the folk there that are already complaining, and that's in mind. Because so when we move over to, so I'm just bringing these issues to you because that is what I'm receiving from the residents. Not that we are all wanting to see tributes made to Terrence Caraway, Officer Terrence Caraway. That is not the issue. But I cannot, in good representation as an elected city councilman, ignore what 200 names on a petition saying that they would not like the basketball court, not the memorial. Fine, we still want that. That is what and see for the basketball court, what I'm getting, for that to exist over there, you need to, is now a public park, whatever the name is, that.
May I
public-
clarify
Yeah,
why I
please.
use the term public park?
Yes.
Our zoning code, and it's this nice fun chart that shows your proposed use. And you can Google different
Yeah,
NACE
sure.
codes, it's called, and the closest thing to a memorial was a public park. Memorial is not specifically listed here. So the closest thing to it, based on the NAICS, which is what all the business licenses are based off of, and how that national standard is determined what this means, was a public park. That is how I came to, memorial is not listed here. So I had to figure out something that was as close as possible. Now, the basketball court is the secondary use. Similar to the project on Edwards Avenue, the crematorium attached to the funeral home. The crematorium on its own could not exist where it was, but it could exist as a secondary use because the primary use of the property is a funeral home. And so it's the same situation here.
So
Let
you
me
see,
clarify and see if I can help you feel better about the situation. We've all known Terrence for years. The only purpose that me and Allison came up with was a basketball court. And originally, my thought was a full-size basketball court. And we thought, well, just like the one that y'all built over on Big Gary,
Yeah.
a full-size basketball court attracts big guys coming in and want to play and do whatever. Okay?
yeah,
This is not a full court, it's not a half court, it's a quarter court. It's going to be fenced in with a 16-foot fence, okay? It's in the back corner of the property, 150 feet from the main road. There'll be 2 picnic table areas there so that if people do come into town, that's the purpose of doing this from these funds, is that our goal is to try to bring people into town and to show respect for all the officers, 394 names that we'll go put there. While they're there, they have a little something to do, okay? There are kids in the area that could have something to do. Mrs. Jackson, I think it was, said last week, there's a lot of basketball courts in town or so forth. My understanding there are 3 now, but there will be 3 if we were to do this one. Again, this is a quarter court, so if someone's playing on the other side of town, on the side of the street, there's something for these kids up here to play. The only purpose putting that basketball quarter court in that back corner is because Terrence loved working with the Boys and Girls Club. He loved working with them. And everywhere he went, that's what he did. So that was our full purpose and thought behind that, was that we said that instead of making, and the memorial uptown is a beautiful memorial. All memorial. I went to a memorial the other day in Manning. They have a nice statue. There are all people that have died in the Manning area. But that's all they have there. They go see it and they leave. Our goal was to try to make it something beautiful for Darlington. The purpose of putting it on this street, going through Main Street there, okay, was that to beautify our town, it should come in and make a beautiful water fountain up front. And again, that was all I asked for, was when I donated the property to Allison, was I want a big water fountain, okay? I can visualize it coming through. Our goal is to make something beautiful there, okay? I had not intended to come up and ask the city of Darlington for any money. You suggested that, that's why we could, if we would like to help, if we would like to be a part of it, anything would be, okay? You know, and so therefore, you know, we're only trying to do good, is all we do. We're not trying to cause disturbance in anybody's neighborhood. Anybody said, we're just here to try to do good. That's what Terrence will do. Monday, June the 10th, me and 5 others will be running 394 miles physically on foot. And I challenge each and every one of you, if you give us $1 or don't give us $1, is to drive through Vintage Place, okay? Because to me, this means more than just about anything else, okay? That if you can think of Terrence stepping up out of that car the other day, October 3rd, and if you look at the numbers, please listen to me for just a second. These are the numbers. A .308 caliber bullet shot him, okay? And it travels at 1/9 of a second. It traveled from that gun and 100 yards, which is the length of a football field, and shot him and killed him, dropped him dead, along with 93 more people that have died. That's the purpose of putting that memorial there. It's nothing to do with a basketball court. We would like to see the basketball court there. We think that it would make it a beautiful place. And again, there's only so much parking there. It's only so big. We're just trying to make a beautiful place coming into town. That's our goal behind it.
Let me ask you this, Curtis.
Yes, ma'am.
Because from a city and mayor standpoint, based on compliance, you guys are in compliance, there's nothing really we can do as far as trying to stop it. Which I don't see stopping.
We're not trying
I don't
to
think we're
stop
trying to
it.
do that.
No.
But I will ask you this, because those 200 names that Ms. Jackson talked about at the last meeting, those folks don't come to the meeting here. So maybe to put their mind at ease, maybe if you have a meeting on the property and invite those folks in that community that have that concern, and maybe give them some peace of mind. That might be something that may help settle all of this.
We got to, that's what I said, try to explain to them, put it in the back, we'll put a fence up, it'll be,
Yeah.
backed off
See,
in the block
this
area.
is
And as Allison said, that,
call
they want to play,
negotiation.
they want to do something different in their kickball or whatever else.
Consideration.
There's something
So
for them
you
to do.
and,
It's not gonna be
Blair,
a hangout place, we're gonna have cameras up monitoring it to where,
if you guys can maybe set up
Let's
some
see.
kind of meeting or community meeting with the folks in the neighborhood, and maybe Ms. Jackson
and
can
I
be
said,
the lead person on
physically
that.
had worked out there
and
were a number of
bring the
days, and
community
everybody,
together.
numbers of people had drove by and
Yeah.
praised it. So we would be glad to hear any input.
But can we do this on continuous after you meet with the citizens? That, if there's any money to donate, that we do it after that? We can go ahead and.
Well, we don't need to do
Can
that.
We supposed to say that.
Okay. I'd like a motion that we approve $5,000 for the purposes of the Terrence Caraway Memorial, contingent on them producing the 501c3 to Howard Garland, City Administrator.
I second. How about that?
Thank you.
It's been moved and seconded that we donate $5,000 to Terrence Caraway Memorial in continuance with the meeting, Mr. Howard Garland, all in favor of the vote, let them say aye. Nays have the same, right, okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. All right, Curtis, I want to make sure that waterfall is pretty.
Yes, ma'am. I need those drawings back, I gotta give them back to Sheila.
About a month or so ago, a mother called me and asked me what could I do, in recognizing her son. Every parent want their children to do good. Every parent want their child to work hard in school to achieve. And I think this young man has done well. Trying to get in the Air Force, working with the Scouts, Eagle Scouts. He's had letters from Tim Scott, Tom Rice, Arthur Phillips, has a letter from Lindsey Graham, a letter from Henry McMasters, W.R. Cody Simpson III. I think he has worked hard this year to achieve. I'm gonna let his mother come up and tell us a little bit about it.
I'm gonna let him come with me, is that okay?
Yes. Hard work, no play.
We didn't know we had to speak.
I want you to say something. I know you proud. You called me about it. So.
Yeah, he, wanted to pursue a career in piloting, first off, and, good grades. And so his dad said, well, you know what, you might need to pursue the academy, the United States Air Force Academy. And we started looking at it. He was about 8th or 9th grade, and started making provisions. And so he got a little buckled down in Boy Scouts, because Eagle Scouts was a big check off for their requirements. Academics, being well-rounded. Just an all-American boy. And anyway, he buckled down and did it. But we understand no one from this region has really ever been appointed. You have to have 2 political officials appoint you. And as of the letters you have, Lindsey Graham, Senator Graham did one, and Tom Rice did the other one. And so then we were like, okay, this is a real deal here. And he went out and toured. Well, we as a family toured the academy a couple years back. And then he decided that was something he wanted to do. And so we then applied for the summer program the following year. And so on that application, we had to put, and all the residents here in Darlington and the people of this community know, we kind of worked hard with him since he was born. So, and you've all supported him tremendously. So, anyway, we filled out that application, he was approved. And so we went out there for a week back in the summer of, was it 2018? He spent a week out there. So his name was already, in the making there. And so we're just real proud of him.
And we want to give him,
What was that again?
I'm sorry, I missed what was the appointment? What was the appointment?
The appointment for the United States Air Force Academy.
What's
And,
the percentage, if you know, of those who apply versus?
the statistics show, his letter did, and I think his letter, Mayor Hines has a copy of the appointment. It was a little over 9,000 people.
Somewhere between 10 and 12,000 apply, 1,200 get in. Roughly somewhere between 10
Per
and
year.
13%.
Per year. SAT has to be over.
Well, it's not necessarily, they don't have a requirement.
Well, I think it has to be over 1,200.
yeah.
And they just have to kind of stand out. And Trey's just been involved in everything here in this, in this town. And it paid off.
It paid off. Hard work.
It paid off, but he kept his grades up.
They look for well-rounded people more so than just good athletes.
While the Army says they're looking for a few good men, all of the academies are looking for a few good men.
And this is on the level of West Point.
It's the same thing. It's just
Same
the Air
thing,
Force
it's
is
just the
right.
Air Force
Yeah.
or the Naval.
Yeah.
But athletic, academic, community leadership skills, stress level has been, physical fitness, just well-rounded. And anyway, he landed an appointment.
He's to be commended.
To be commended. This might be small, but guess what? It goes around your neck. You can always keep Darlington close. And appreciate what you did, and it goes to show you that hard work pays off. And work hard.
Yes,
And I
ma'am.
know this a proud mama.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Can I get
Picture, you get whoever you want in the picture.
thank you to the council for having us on the agenda for one, and for all your support. Mayor Hines, you as well. You just have one you can't remember. You gotta make it quick.
Gave back.
You will step a little this way. See your face.
All right.
All right, 1, 2, 3. Thank you, Lisa.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, our first reading on the ordinance 2019-11 business license fee, what we do every year. Can I get a motion for that?
Mayor, I make a motion that we approve the first reading of ordinance 2019-11, which is our business license fee.
I second.
It's been properly motion and second that we receive our first motion, first reading on ordinance 2019-11, the business license fee. All in favor, let it know and sign aye. Aye. Nays have the same rights. Motion carries. Okay. First reading on,
I need to talk about this one.
okay, go ahead, okay. First reading on the ordinance with the tax levy.
Okay. This is the increase that we talked about in the budget work session. And I put together something that helps you understand a bit more what we're proposing to do. And I'll give each one here. We had a council member ask about the number of city streets that we have, and they hadn't been paved in a long time, and we were looking for a way to fund the repaving of those streets, so we came up with this idea. The current millage rate in the city of Darlington is 131.4125 mils. The consumer price index increase this year that the state's allowing is 2.44%, tied to the rate of inflation. So if you took our 2.44 CPI rate and multiplied it by our current millage, we could raise 3.2 mils. A mill in Darlington is worth $17,928. So we're looking at raising over $57,000 with all that money going towards city-owned streets. We've updated our priority list of resurfacing for city-owned streets, which is on the next page. A means it needs to be, is critical, needs to be paved quickly. B is also critical need, you see the C is also on there. And the next page, which we've given you before, is a list of city-owned streets in Darlington. And most of the streets are owned by South Carolina Department of Transportation, but there are 43 that we own part of or all of. And they're listed there alphabetically for your information. What we would propose to do if you do vote on this millage increase is that we would, all the A's that you have on your list on page 2, we would go out and get bids on, and we bring those back to you, and then you can decide at a later meeting as to what would be paid. In my opinion, based on the size of our streets, we would be able to pave 3 or 3.5 streets with $57,000. So that's, if you want to do that.
Mr. Garland, may I ask a question? On the last sheet, the city-owned street, since the state gave us part of Columbia, you don't have that down there, no part down there.
Yes, it is.
You do have, where is it?
It's on the second line, London Street.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Where?
Okay.
And if you don't want to do it, that's fine too. We'll just have to readjust our budget numbers. We've already plugged this into our current budget module. It's an extra $57,370.
Any discussion?
When we were talking about this, you were gonna get us some information. I didn't know we were gonna be putting all these on this agenda, but, you had talked about getting us some information about what it'd actually be to the property owner.
$13 per $100,000 on a house.
For $100,000? Everybody heard that?
Yeah, $13.
Let's table that.
And this increase will allow us to pay 3 streets?
Per year.
Per
year.
Per year.
Okay. Well, we got
Ridiculous.
and
12 years.
I might consider it an extra little.
I've been retired.
Oh, gosh. It's
Any
something y'all mind
discussion?
not on there.
This is something y'all brought to me. I'm bringing you an option. If you don't like it, we'll go back and try to find something else. I just am answering your questions and concerns in the budget work session. So
But can we table this then?
we still have to have first reading on our budget approval tonight. What we would have to do is amend the
Oh.
ordinance to go back to the current village rate, which is 131.4125.
And
That's what it is now, 134.
We need to have a first readings, even if we amend it.
We still have to have that first reading on the
Correct, so you
131.
either do it on 131.4125 or 130.6125.
Okay. Nobody wants to make a motion. I make a motion that we approve the first reading ordinance 2019-12- tax levy 134.6125 mils. That's settled that. Didn't get a second,
Nope.
so that drops. Should have tabled it like I said.
Nobody seconded, so one's
There
here.
you go.
All right, so let's try the 131.4125.
4125.
Yep.
Okay, can I get a motion on that? First reading on the ordinance, 2019-12 tax levy 131.4125.
Say what now? One?
Kevin, can we-
131.4125.
Where is it on here?
Which part, I mean, as far as.
I told y'all to take
Yeah, I don't
it.
think we can vote on a new one that's not on the agenda.
You want the millage aspect of it?
Yeah.
Consider it was discussed at, workshop.
It was discussed at the
We would have
workshop.
to put it on the agenda in 24 hours notice. Should for sure have to do that. That's how it is.
Well, certainly, if you want to, the state law says you can say, if you vote within 24 hours of a meeting and you have 5 of 7 council members vote to approve it, you can approve it tonight.
Y'all switch these things up, so why don't we just table it?
Let me ask this question, for purposes of our meeting and having the first reading on our budget for next year, do we do better to have a first reading at 134, and then if we change our mind, have a second reading at 131?
No, sir, you
It's
can't
not
do
the
that.
same
It's
way.
got to be the same across the board.
Not the
Same
If
for
you
the
don't have
first
the
and
first
for
reading
the second?
tonight, then we'd have to have the first reading at a later date, and you have to wait at least 15 days
Yeah.
before your second reading. So conceivably, we could go past July 1st without a budget.
That's what I'm trying to avoid.
Well, if you could vote to amend the agenda tonight, if 5 of 7 of you vote to amend the
You
agenda.
can't do that, you remember, y'all? Made
Well,
a
you
big
can,
deal,
but
we
you have
couldn't do it.
you have to have at least a supermajority of council vote to do that.
You ever heard Mr. Garland said? In order to amend it,
So we pass it for one night, for one meeting is what you want, John?
Well, what I'm hearing is we need to
Vote to amend the agenda.
vote to amend the agenda, get our numbers right. And by amending the agenda to come up with the right number, then we can have,
Then you can vote on the old millage rate.
Okay,
so I'm gonna make a motion
okay.
that
But
we
before-
amend our agenda.
Okay,
Why can't we just
can
table
I
it?
get some clarification right quick, right here? Where is it, make me understand that dealing with this tax levy affects the reading on the budget. I don't see that because I don't see us dealing with that right here.
Elaine, could you repeat that one more time?
Okay. We making a decision, the first reading on the tax levy, how is that affecting our budget? You here saying that is gonna throw us off because I don't see our
So
budget.
He's got the budget written right now to include this millage increase.
I got that
And so
part.
it'd throw our budget off about $57,370.
Yeah, but are we dealing with the budget tonight?
Yes.
Yes.
Tax levy is what goes into our budget to generate the money.
Yeah, I get, okay.
So if we don't vote for a tax levy, we have not approved any
We
money
haven't
for a
approved anything.
budget.
Okay, so that's what,
You got to July, what's that?
July 1st.
July 1st, that's the next month.
Red's not having.
okay, then, well then,
We got that extra 57,000
So let's
already.
just
You
go
already
with
put
the
that in budget.
134.
So what we were doing is if we do the 134, we can do the 134, we'll pave 3 streets with the 57,000. If you don't like that, we can have a
Come back in.
motion to amend the agenda to have the tax levy at 131.4125.
which is less and gonna be less streets, so.
No, we won't get any.
No, we
That'll
won't
be-
get any.
That'll be what it was previously last year. It'll be the same tax levy that we did on the citizens last year for property taxes, so nothing would change. And that's then the question at that point is, are we gonna want to address the city roads right now? I think we need to.
Yeah,
Well,
well,
listen,
we need to do
states
this
do the
134.
streets. We own 43 streets. We are not doing this to help the state out, we're doing this to help our citizens out with the 43 streets that we own. That's why we're doing this. This has nothing to do with the state. This has all to do with the streets, the 43 streets the city owns,
And how we wanna pay for
and
it.
how we wanna pay for them. So this is done for that purpose.
So, let's do this 134. I mean,
Well, you've already made a motion and nobody seconded it.
They ain't got,
I know, let's make another motion. I mean, if we agreeing to do it, and you say we cannot not do it, right?
We got to do something.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, so let's do what's on the agenda and move.
Okay, go ahead.
Explain the alphabets again. A was the most critical, and then when we put out the bid, and then we got,
B, which is need, is very much in need, but not as bad as A. C is, needs improving, but wait 3 to 5 years.
So those streets are not streets that we own, right?
Yes.
are all.
yeah.
You know, I guess technically Elaine's motion is still out there, I guess, somebody wants to second that motion.
I second it.
Yes, thank you, we got a
I
second on
second
that.
Elaine's motion.
That motion died on the floor.
Yeah, he did, was still good.
I make a motion. Can I make this motion?
Go ahead. Then they went into this. That's right.
But the amendment didn't get a second.
Well, I started a motion to amend, and Elaine said, wait a minute.
Yes.
So I didn't finish my sentence.
Get finished up. Now, as your question on that sheet, prior to this of streets for resurfacing, those streets are not, all of them are not, city streets, are they? Alabama Drive, I know, Henry Street is a city street, but not.
Most of the streets that have the need on there are city-owned streets, so if you own there that are not, like I believe, like Alabama and possibly
Right,
half a dozen more.
yeah. Some of them are city streets and some of them are state streets. So you have to know the difference, and it's not stated on there unless you just know.
And I'm assuming that this is our list of city streets. And some, like Alabama.
City streets on page 3.
Back to the last one.
All right, so these streets with the A rating are not necessarily city streets?
Most are, but not
Not all of
correct.
them.
And
We gave that list to DOT several years ago. I think Mr. Mayor Hines and I went to one of the meetings. and gave us this list.
We would not be utilizing these funds for, say, Alabama, which is listed as a
No, sir.
B.
We be doing it for the.
Mr. Garland can get you another list of the city on the street. Do you have that with you, Mr. Garland?
Yeah, we've got that. We just
On the
don't,
back,
we
on
don't
the
have a
back.
rating on the
The
city
rating, okay.
streets.
Yeah, but okay, well, that sheet, that second sheet is not necessarily all, city streets.
But,
Yeah.
But Ward Street is,
Yeah.
that's
Some of
bad.
them
And
are.
I think there's another one that was listed that somebody mentioned at the budget work session. Was that it?
He Avenue was not, and Broad is not.
We've got a motion and a second. We'll call for a
Call
vote.
for a vote.
On the motion for tax levy 134.
Yes,
Okay.
that's the only motion out there.
And Carolyn has seconded.
Layman, motion, Carolyn, second.
Yes.
All in favor? It's been properly motion and second that we receive the first reading of orders 2019-12 tax levy 134-6125 mills. All in favor, let it say aye.
Aye.
Ladies have the same right. Motion carries, Mr. Garland. Okay, first reading on the orders 2019-13, the tax anticipated note. Can I get a motion for that?
Madam Mayor, I make a motion to approve first reading of ordinance 2019-13 tax anticipation note.
I'll second.
It's been properly motion and second that we receive the first reading of orders 2019-13 tax anticipated note. All in favor, let the sign aye. Ladies have the same right, motion carries. Okay, now, for this one. First reading on the order 2019-14, the water sewer fee increase. Mr. Garland, that's on page.
I believe that was given to you at the budget work session, and Tom prepared a sheet for that. Shows increase of,
Yeah.
if something you rate do Last year, it was 3% a year for 5 years.
All right.
Okay, can I get a,
I make a motion that we approve the first reading ordinance 2019-14- the water/sewer fee increase.
We don't have to specify what the increase is.
yes, what you got to
Randy, what's the?
The base bill for water and sewer was 56 cents.
56 cents?
56 cents.
Okay.
Do we get a second on that?
Did you get a second on that? I didn't hear one. Can I get a second on that?
Second.
Councilman Bruce. It's been properly, motion and second, that we receive the first reading of the order 2019-14, water sewer fee increase. All in favor? Come on, the vote, let me know by saying aye. Aye. Nays have the same right. Motion carried. Okay, now for the first reading of order 2019-15, sanitation fee increase.
It's increasing 2150 to 2250.
2150 to 2250. All right. All in favor? Can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the first reading ordinance of 2019-15 sanitation fee increase.
I second.
Okay, it's been properly motion and second that we receive the first reading of the order 2019-15 sanitation fee increase. All in favor of that, let me sign aye.
Aye.
Nays have the same right, motion carries. Okay, the first reading of the order 2019-16, 2019-2020 budget approval. Mr. Scott.
We have to have a public hearing at the second reading. We've been over most of these, all these numbers in the actual
Y'all hear Mr. Garland?
in the budget meetings, and I included in your handouts there just a listing of some revenues for you. What we will do, we'll get out tomorrow a copy of everything to everyone before the second reading, which we'd like to have on June the 20th. June the 20th, we'd like to have the second reading of this ordinance.
That's on what, Thursday? Can we do it any sooner?
What's that date?
That's
We
fine.
have to wait 15 days in between meetings.
Wait a minute.
So,
2 days.
We can do
So
it
we
the
can't
next
vote
week,
on
I guess.
the
Yeah, if
budget.
we could do it a little sooner, I really would appreciate it. I'm getting married.
Earliest we can do it is the 19th.
So 19, okay.
Okay.
That's why I got Okay. First reading on the order 2019-16, 2019-2020 budget approval. Can I get a motion for that?
So move.
I'll motion.
Oh, go ahead. Make a good motion, because
Motion.
First motion.
By Mr. Second by Mr. Gardner.
Sounds good.
All in favor? Oh, let me, so I had the properly motion and second, they received the first reading of the order 2019-16, 2019-2020 budget approval. All in favor, let me know, sign aye. Nays have the same right, motion carries. J, board, commissioners appointments. Ms. Rock, what is Rock?
Yes, Mayor. As we're ending the fiscal year, it comes a point that a lot of folks, their term ends. And so that's why there are quite a few appointments on the list, and they have to be done individually.
So individually,
They have to be done individually, unfortunately.
Was your list in the original package?
It was in the original packet. It looks like this. These are all individuals who are currently serving. Yes. These are all individuals who are currently serving on these boards and have shown up reliably to meet the task. They would like to continue to serve, and they have said yes. The first is on the Historic Landmarks Commission. Mr. Steve Abbott. Staff recommends Mr. Steve Abbott be reappointed for another term.
I'd like to motion that we approve Mr. Steve Abbott to be reappointed for another term for the Historic Landmarks Commission.
It's a proper motion and second that we receive Mr. Steve Allen for another appointment for another term with the Historic Landmark Commission. All in favor, they will sign aye. Aye. Nays have the same right, okay.
Staff further recommends that Ms. Roseanne Brazelton be reappointed for another term as well.
I'd like to motion that we reappoint Mrs. Roseanne Brazelton for another term for the Historic Landmarks Commission.
Second.
It's been properly motion and second that we receive Mrs. Roseanne Brazelton for another year for the Historic Landmark Commission. All in favor, let them sign aye. Aye. Nays have the same right. Motion carries.
There are still, just a side note, there are still 2 seats on that board that are available if you know anyone who might be interested in serving. The Board of Zoning Appeals, staff is recommending that Mr. Parker Al be reappointed for another term.
I'll make a motion that we approve Mr. Parker Howell be reappointed for another term on the Board of Zoning Appeals.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been properly motion and second that we receive Mr. Parker Al to be reappointed for another term for the Board of Zoning Appeals. All in favor, the vote is on aye. Nays have the same right. Motion carries.
Staff further recommends that Mr. Calvin King be reappointed for another term. He served as chair of that board for quite some time.
I make a motion that we reappoint Mr. Calvin King for another term for the Board of Zoning Appeals.
I'll second that.
I also like to thank him for what he has done in the way of an attractive building on the square.
Yeah.
It's been properly motion and second that we received Mr. Calvin King to be reappointed for another term with the Board of Zoning Appeals. All in favor, the vote is on the sign aye. Aye. Nays have the same right. Motion carries.
All right, and just a side note, there is still 1 open seat on the Board of Zoning Appeals, and it is, while they don't often meet, it's very critical that we get a quorum, because there will be, if there's any kind of legal challenges, that is the board that addresses those. There is also, on the Planning Commission, several of these members have just gone through the introductory training, so obviously we would like them to be reappointed. Staff recommends that Mr. Francis Parnell be reappointed for another term.
I'd like to motion that we reappoint Francis Parnell for another term in the Planning Commission.
Second.
Okay, it's been properly motion and second that we, Mr. Francis Parnell be appointed for another term for the Planning Commission. All in favor of the vote, on the sign aye. Aye. Nays have the same right. Motion carries.
Staff further recommends Ms. Rosalind Boachi be reappointed for another term.
I make a motion that we reappoint for another term Ms. Rosalind Biachi for another term for the Planning Commission.
I'll second. It's been properly motion and second that we recommend Ms. Rosalind Boachi be appointed for another term for the Planning Commission. All in favor of the vote, let it be known by the sign aye. Aye. Nays have the same right. Motion carries.
And lastly, staff recommends Ms. Lou Kirchen be reappointed for another term.
I'd like to motion that we reappoint Mrs. Lou Kirchen to be reappointed for another term in the Planning Commission.
Second.
I'm sorry.
It's been properly motion and second that we recommend Ms. Lou Kirchen be reappointed for another term for the Planning Commission. All in favor of the vote, let it be known by sign aye. Aye. Nays have the same right. Motion carries.
We still have 2 seats that are open on that. There have been a couple of people that haven't come to probably half dozen meetings in a row now, and so I assume that they no longer are willing to serve. So there are 2 seats open on the Planning Commission. 1 seat is available on the Beautification Board, and 1 seat is available on the Tree Board. And you can certainly direct anybody to my office if they have questions about that.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you.
Well, this is the judge. We elect the judge for the city. every 2 years, and it's time now, so can I get a motion to re-elect, Judge Stokes?
I'll make a motion that Judge Stuck be reappointed for another 2-year term as municipal judge for the City of Darlington.
Second.
It's been properly motion and second that we receive Mr. Stokes for another 2 terms for the municipal judge for the City of Darlington. All in favor of the vote, if you not sign aye. Aye. Nays have the same right, motion carries. Thank you. Okay, number 9, department reports, no actions needed. 10 council comments, any council comments? Okay. Reminder, July 2nd, 6:30 p.m. regular monthly meeting, Darlington City Council. We will go into executive session for recreation, purchase of property for the ball field, political sign off, for City of Darlington may or may not vote. Can I get a motion to go into executive session after a 5-minute break?
I'd like the motion to go into executive session.
Second.
Then properly motion to executive session after a 5-minute break. All in favor? Let me know by sign aye. Aye. Nays have the same right, motion carries. They done cancel the meeting. They done come, done adjourn.
Who is Councilman Roberts?
The motion that may I have your signs, please?